Ah, yes. Good morning, boys and girls. Time to have a little fun and take you till about 3 o'clock here on the program. We are live, all the way live. Don't even have to walk. Don't even have to talk. Just slide, slippity slide. Just forget about your troubles in your 9 to 5. Just sail on. That's what you do. You just sail on. All right. Are they going to get mad if we did that on YouTube or anything? All right. Anyway, welcome aboard. It is time to have some fun here on the show on a day where the Cowboys get a defensive coordinator in Mike Nolan to go along with Mike McCarthy. And Matt Rhule has left Baylor. Yes, he is out of Baylor. He is now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Boy, they have wasted no time. And when you have these coaching changes, the one thing that you want to do as soon as possible is get your coaches in place because you're headed out to the East-West Shrine game and then the Senior Bowl, and then you've got all this draft preparation, and you don't want your coach and that decision to drag on. You want your coach and coaching staff to kind of be a part of that. They may have input on what you're trying to do. And if they don't have input, like let's say Mike McCarthy could have a little input, but really Stephen Jones and his staff are going to do what it's hard to argue with what Stephen Jones and staff have been doing lately with the Cowboys. But it's interesting how you watch those developments, and I know Bill is a virgin, so this is his first go around, but he'll witness it firsthand over the next couple of weeks. We won't see as many next week. But in the Senior Bowl, that's kind of the depressing part about that week because it's unemployment week in the NFL. And you'll see a lot of coaches that are hanging around and they're trying to find a job and they're there to interview with teams and trying to, put an iron in the fire there and trying to meet with somebody and those kind of things. So a lot of agents, a lot of coaches, and a lot of them that are not only coaches, but scouts and personnel directors and college directors of scouting and pro directors of scouting, they're walking those fields in Mobile next week, in 2 weeks, and they're unemployed. And so that's kind of part of the game. But as a team, you want to try to get your ducks in a row before those big decisions are made, because you want to have your staff in place. And that's what we're seeing here with the Cowboys, that they wanted to get Mike McCarthy in place. They didn't want to waste any time. And I'm sure we'll see Jerry's bus in Mobile because it always goes to Mobile. It doesn't go to the East-West, but Mobile, that Dallas Cowboy bus will pull in. I've been dying to go inside that Dallas Cowboy bus just to kind of check it out. But anyway, so we got that bit of news going on in the NFL as the Carolina Panthers kind of break their silence and name their head coach after Ron Rivera was and the Giants got their guy. So these decisions are happening quickly, and these teams are smart too because although have you noticed? Cleveland's interested in Mike McCarthy, but he goes to Dallas. Cleveland's interested in Matt Rhule. He says no. Cleveland's also interested in Josh What is the? Let me see. They're interested in Eric Bieniemy, Urban Meyer, Brian Dable, Josh McDaniels, Greg Roman, Robert Saleh. The question is, who's going to take that Browns job? Think about it. See, with Jerry, when you take the job, okay, you got to deal with Jerry, but there's a caveat to all of this. Jerry's going to provide you everything that you need to succeed. Okay? Money's not an object here. Players are not an object there. Whatever they need, they'll go out and get it. You'll have the best facilities. You'll have the best stadium in the NFL. Well, maybe, I don't know, I guess the Rams might beat it. I don't know. We'll see when they open up. But that's the caveat, whereas with Cleveland, you don't know what you're getting there. And you've got a situation now where you blew out the coach and the general manager. And you've got a baseball guy running the interviews and running. And DePodesta has the ability to actually stay as the general manager. That's not a good thing, okay? That's where, you start to look at all of it. That's why the Browns maybe, while everybody is scooping up what's considered the best candidates, Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, and on the college level, Rhule. I mean, there was a little talk with Lincoln Riley, but that was more with the Cowboys than anybody else, and it didn't happen. Maybe Lincoln's fine over in Oklahoma, which he should be, by the way. If I'm Lincoln Riley, I would never leave Oklahoma. Never. You are God there. But it's an interesting coaching search that's going on right now in the NFL. And if I'm a Browns fan, I'm already concerned because I've got a wacky-ass owner as it is. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you start seeing the better candidates dry up and they're going to other places, and Cleveland's like in line like, hey, pick us, pick us, pick us, and nobody's picking you. That should be so. And here's the other thing. They got some talent on that team. I mean, I weigh the roster of Carolina and Cleveland, and I want the roster of Cleveland. Seriously. Giants and Cleveland, it all depends on what you think of the two quarterbacks, but Cleveland's got the better team talent overall than the Giants. You might think Daniel Jones is a little better than Baker, which, by the way, kind of comes full circle after Baker trashed Daniels at the beginning of the year, laughing at the Giants for taking him at 6, and now the shoe's on the other foot now. Now it's Baker considered the lesser quarterback over Daniels right now, at least. So that's where this Cleveland situation, it's interesting because they've got talent, but you're watching these candidates go other places, and these are candidates that they were interested in. We'll see who ends up. I can't see Josh McDaniels going there after everything. He's better off staying in New England and just waiting his turn till Belichick calls it quits, right? The one guy is Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator, or Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator. I can see those two guys. Eric Bieniemy just saw the GM from his team leave and get fired a couple years later. And Eric Bieniemy is a guy that Andy Reid's been praising and saying he's ready for a head coaching job. I got to tell you something. If Andy Reid says you're ready for a head coaching job, considering how successful his tree is, I'd be snatching somebody from his tree. Okay? That's one tree that's – the branches that grow out of that tree are pretty damn strong overall. Okay? I kind of like what he's produced as coaches throughout the NFL. And that would be one guy that I would be looking at. But if I'm Bieniemy, I don't know if I want to take that Cleveland job. I may want to wait for another opportunity that isn't the Browns. But for you Browns fans out there, you've got to be a little disappointed with what's going on. So that's the stuff going on in the NFL as we get the breaking news of Matt Rhule going to the Carolina Panthers. Now the question is, does Matt Rhule stay with Cam Newton? He is coming from the college game where he has a spread offense there in Baylor. This might be something that helps Cam because you're going to have read option, you're going to have all of that. Because a lot of people would think that, hey, you got to move on from Cam. The problem is the Allen kid did not do enough to say, oh, yeah, we've got our guy. You don't. And so until you get that guy, as long as it's not crippling your cap, you may have to stick with Cam for one more season. At least one more season, test it out, that would be my prediction, that Rhule comes in and he tries to work with Cam for this first year and see if it does work out. Which, by the way, have you seen Cam's girlfriend? He left his baby mama, who has 3 kids with him, but he's never married her. And now he's going out with this other girl. Did I tell you wow? Like wow.
So he wrecks her body with 3 kids and finds a finer chick? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, she still looks good. The
mother.
baby mama?
Yeah.
She looks good still, but the new one, holy moly.
It's another level.
Yeah. She's like an Instagram model. And man, wow. It's a hell of a story, bro. I'm just saying, you want to look it up. I'm a facilitator of fun. Okay? You want to have some fun?
There's not a story. They're just pictures, right? That's what we're talking.
Yeah, it's just, I'm sure you might find you can find it in with Robert Littall, Black Sports Online, actually. It's there. And the story's there, and it's the pictures are there, too. And I got to say, impressive, man. Kudos to Cam on that one. That'll be interesting to see where Matt goes with this and how much this ends up working out with the Cam Newton experiment moving forward, because obviously he had that mid-foot sprain, the Liz Frank, and that's something that, it's a serious injury. It all depends on how bad it was, but you can come back from it. And he's not a running back, and back in the day when it happened to like Eric Redd, it was career-ending in those days. Nowadays it's not, and he is a quarterback, but he's a quarterback that needs mobility. So that's where it becomes a bit of a challenge for Cam Newton. So it'll be. I would imagine that Matt Rhule is going to go ahead with Cam and maybe draft his own guy to try to develop over the next year or two, and then take over for Cam. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens this first year with Matt Rhule and the Carolina Panthers in the draft, because that you'll find out right away what the plan is. They draft that young guy, then, Cam is just a bridge for the new coach so he can move on to the next guy. Ooh. Now we're ready. Now we're complete in the studio. You can't be broadcasting without the Eiffel Tower,
France wasn't sparkling.
No, we got to get them sparkling, man. We got to get France sparkling. What do we have here? Roll call in the morning. Flipside Fishing says, good morning. John Rouse says, what's up, Bill and O? Hope all is well. All is great, man. Today's a beautiful Tuesday. For me, at this age and after my heart condition, I'm just glad that I'm alive for another day, man. That's all. I am blessed for every day, and then every day I aggressively take advantage of it, and that's it. And I hope to live another day, but thank you very much, John. Big Mike says, good morning from New York City. Good morning. Adrian Aguirre says, let's go, Big O. Drubo says, GM, no lights for Peter Parker. Oh, I see. Yes, we got the lights for Peter Parker. We got him on. Jay says, but the Dallas coach still has to deal with Jerry Jones meddling in. Yes, no doubt. That's just part of it, and that's where he gets neutered. But he did get a good defensive coordinator. I like Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator. That's solid. NorCal says, good morning, Bill and Orlando. Wake and bake. Damn, that early, NorCal? It's 8:13. Holy moly.
Priorities. Right. Well, and he's on the other side of the country, so it's even earlier.
Hey, listen, like it's always said, right? It's 4:20 somewhere. Somewhere in the world, right? Right now it's about 11:14. We're approaching 11:20.
You see how the times have changed. It used to be there's happy
hour. 5 o'clock somewhere,
yeah,
right?
Right.
It's 4:20 somewhere, right? I mean, if it's good enough for 5, it's good enough for 4:20. So, NorCal, smoke 'em up, buddy, as they say in Breakfast Club. I was watching the Titans-Pats playoff game, Orlando Sanchez says, and I noticed that Tannehill making calls at the line of scrimmage. Yep, he was. He has a check with me system. Of course, everybody has a check with me system, dude. You can check out of one play for another. That's everybody has that, pretty much. Now, I don't know if you're calling the whole playbook. That's a whole different ball game. I don't think he's doing that. But he has a check. He had a check with me system here. I don't know if you know that, Orlando, but we'll enlighten you, Orlando, that everybody's got it. In fact, Marino used to have the whole playbook. Jimmy took over. He took the playbook away from Marino and make him do check with me. So how about that? And check with me is you either check out of one play into another. That's it. You don't have any other options. That's what they do with quarterbacks, most quarterbacks nowadays. Lakeisha says, good morning, Big O. Hello, Lakeisha. Thank you very much. RZ, what's up? Got you on the 70. All right. I appreciate that, RZ. Let's see. What do we have? Premier Reviewer is checking in. Looking forward to this offseason. I can't wait for Sunday. Just Sunday. I just want to be in the car driving towards St. Pete. Like Sunday, we're going to do a radio show on Sunday, which, by the way, normally it's just a podcast on Sunday, like a small podcast. We're actually going to give you a 2-hour podcast on Sunday, so we'll have a lot of things to talk about. Do you realize we're going to be watching the national championship game in St. Pete? That's on Monday night, next Monday.
Something, just the first realization of that.
Yeah. So we'll go to there's several sports bars there that we can go to. Although what I love about you, what you're going to love about this, is that our hotel is like right on the beach. Like it's got a ginormous beach. Not a beach, a ginormous beach. Okay? Like nasty. And then there's several we're on an island in St. Pete. Because, St. Pete's 4,000 islands.
Yeah, basically.
4,000 islands and bridges. I mean, St. Pete, Tampa, I don't know how many bridges they have, but it's a lot of bridges. And it's one of my favorite places to just drive around because it's just so beautiful driving around from water and the view and all that stuff. But anyway, it's really cool. But then they have several bars, but the bars are wide open. So you're right on the water and, it's not like a regular closed-in bar. You're out in the open, so it's really cool. So we'll probably, unless it's cold, then, those kind of bars aren't a lot of fun. Although they have heaters. They do the heater thing.
I'm sure they do like the South Beach.
Yeah, they do the heater thing, and they whip it out because
pull down the whatever that plastic
They're right
stuff.
on the coast, so it's like water. The wind is right there, dude. So on cold nights, like tonight, like last night or tonight or whatever.
Oh, no, they were probably
that
in the
kind of
50s,
wind.
40s easily.
Yeah, exactly.
You get up to West Palm, Tampa, that area, just an hour away from us, and the temperature totally changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have a sports bar right inside. I mean, that hotel has everything. It's crazy. I mean, it has its own canal in the middle of it that, that people can boat.
What is this, like Small World?
Yeah.
It's a Small World?
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you can rent it and then take off and then, come back and whatever. It's just, it's a ginormous hotel. It really is. It's really cool. So we're going to have a lot of fun being at the team hotel and setting up. So trust me, nobody's looking forward to this offseason more than I am, because this one for me means more than anything that we've had in 20 years. I think actually we're headed in the right direction, actually. I really do. So I'm with you there. Lakeisha says, Big O, what do we have to do to get Joey Boss from the Chargers? Oh, no, that's not Joey Bosa, you mean, not Boss. That's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to let go of Bosa. Remember, Lakeisha, they're moving into a new stadium. They need as many stars as possible, okay? That's why some people are talking about them going after Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels to bring them over, which is crazy because it's not like their coach is bad. Anthony Lynn's done a really good job, and Telesco's a good GM. Okay, they have good football people there. But even people have talked about, oh, no, you bring McDaniels and Brady so you can bring the star quality to fill the stadium. Put it that way. So there's no way they get rid of Joey Bosa. I would love to see him in a Dolphins uniform, but I just don't see that happening. Alex Opelia says, with Tua, is the risk worth the reward, or is the reward worth the risk? I tell you, Drew Brees. I'm not a fan of drafting him, but the one team that can afford to draft him and fail is the Dolphins. It really is. Look, let's get into this, okay? If you're the Dolphins, you already made the mistake with Drew Brees. You took Jamar Fletcher instead of Drew Brees. Then you had the second go-around, and Saban was here, and you had the option between Brees and Culpepper. So the Miami franchise has paid the price twice with Drew Brees. That's the legit one. We can all talk about all the other ones that you could have had over the years, but Brees is the guy that really sticks in your craw because it happened not once but twice. And again, I'm not a big fan of drafting Tua at 5, okay? I just think it's a risk to draft him top 5. But if you're Miami, I can understand it. You've got 2 more first-rounders. There are plenty of good players in this draft. You're going to be able to get another offensive lineman, a D lineman, an outside pass-rushing linebacker, a shutdown corner. You want to get a receiver, go ahead. A couple of the Alabama receivers declared. They're in the first round. So you're going to have plenty of opportunities. Remember, it's not where you draft, it's who you draft. So if you're the Dolphins, you've got to come away with a quarterback, right? Now, there's a fine line, which I think is what you're talking about right now, because you're worried about the failure of the player, because if he breaks down, which there's a good chance that Tua's going to break down, there's a good chance that he's not going to be a good quarterback because he will continue to suffer injuries. But what if the chance is that he was just really like snake bitten in college, and then all of a sudden Stella found her groove and he doesn't get injured anymore and he goes out to actually have a good career? Then we're sitting here again going, what if Drew Brees? What if Tua? See what I'm saying? And the beauty of what Chris Grier has done, which is another thing that establishes a foundation, but also gives you flexibility. And what I mean by that is I can take Tua at the top pick, the first pick in the first round, and then I can take another quarterback. Today at 2 o'clock, Brian Howell from the Boulder Daily Camera. I had no idea that they still were naming newspapers Camera. But anyway, Brian, he covers the Colorado Buffaloes. Steven Montez is another one of those guys, a project guy. Not one of my favorite project guys, I will tell you, but he's one of those guys. But this is what you want to do. Because what Chris Grier did is you've got 14 picks, possibly more if you make more moves in the draft. More for this year, more for next year if you start shifting around, which you have that luxury. Because of what Chris Grier has done, you are now prepared to do lots of things. If you wanted to trade multiple picks to move up, if you want to trade down, you can move. You could draft 1 quarterback, or how about 2? And so if you want to take Tua early and you want to cover your ass, then you take another quarterback after that. And now, like I said yesterday, now you've got Rosen. Hey, listen, Drew Brees, the aforementioned Drew Brees. Drew Brees sucked for 3 years. Go look at the stats. Let me repeat it. He sucked for 3 years. He was an outright bust for 3 years. They go and draft Phillip Rivers because he's an outright bust. And what happens? The light goes on, and he explodes in year 4. And then it was too late. He was headed for free agency at that time. So that's how it ended up working out for the Chargers. But my point is that you don't know, Rosen, maybe the light goes on for him. And maybe it doesn't. But if you're Chris Grier, think about this. In less than 1 year since you took over, you would have traded for Rosen, drafted Tua, and let's say whatever, Jordan Love, Stanley, Nathan Stanley, whatever. I don't care. That's second. Jacob Eason. Okay? I'll give you 3 project quarterbacks that I like in the second and third rounds. All right? Those kind of guys that, they've got holes in their game, but they got stuff to work with that maybe they become like the Jarrett Stidham kid that I liked from Auburn that the Patriots have this year. Okay? So that way, think about this. You got a GM that takes over. clears out the cap, gets you a ton of picks, and then goes and gets you 3 young quarterbacks to then try to develop. Sounds like the kind of GM I want. Sounds like the kind of football team I want to root for, because they're aggressively going after the position and filling the need. And then saying, okay, well, then if Tua doesn't make it, then it'll be Nate Stanley / Jordan Love / whatever, Jacob Eason, whatever, and Josh Rosen. Somebody's got to wake up. Somebody's got to hit. Okay? And you have enough picks that you don't have to panic and you don't have to trade away a whole bunch of picks to get the guy. Tua's probably going to fall to you at 5, right? So then you have everything else. You can still go get linemen in the 1st and 2nd and 3rd rounds. You can still get a defensive back. You can still go get yourself a D-end. You can still do the things that the Indianapolis Colts didn't do for Andrew Luck, and that's why they lost him. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a twofold thing, okay? It's great to draft your quarterback, but let's draft a quarterback and let's not put him in the Archie Manning position. Let's draft a quarterback and not put him in the David Carr position where he gets sacked 70 times. Let's draft a quarterback, but let's not put him in the Andrew Luck situation where he's getting pounded over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So it's, again, this is what Chris Grier has done, which the foresight of it, the flexibility of it is a beautiful thing, because it allows you to go into multiple directions, and it allows you to build a foundation. What I think they didn't want to do in the Dolphin front office is have just enough picks to trade up to get a quarterback and then have nothing else. That if you would have had your regular 6 or 7 picks, last year they had, 5? Right? They only picked like 5 or 6 players last year. They didn't even have the full draft last year. And actually the back end was the one that was loaded with picks. Remember? Because they traded out of their 2nd round pick to get 2, one for next year, that's this year coming up, and Rosen. So they, it wasn't a draft like this one that you have a plethora of picks. This is where you have to keep giving a ton of credit to Chris Grier, because he has positioned your favorite team into having all the flexibility it needs. It can draft quarterbacks. It can then also support those quarterbacks by getting more young players around it. You've already got a group of certain players that you're going to be able to build off of. You've got 2 linemen. Jesse Davis got better as the year went on. And then you hope Dieter, lots of linemen struggle in their 1st, 2nd years a lot of times. Linemen sometimes don't figure it out to 3-4 years down the line a lot of times. Okay? Yeah, the guy you picked at number 6 overall or 3 overall or 10th overall, yeah, that guy you're expecting to make a quick transition, but hell, that's why you picked him up there, because he's a freaking stud. When you pick him in the 3rd round, they gotta grow. And so you've got some pieces. You start to build it with everything else. This is why it's a two-phased approach that you have to look at. You have the picks to get quarterbacks, not just one, multiple. But then you also have the picks to then actually support those quarterbacks. And that, my friends, as that commercial would say, is priceless. And you have the cap space, by the way, that you can augment a player or 2 if there's something out there that you can add. I can't tell you enough about how excited I am about this because of the way they've set themselves up and the flexibility they have in every way, shape, and form. So as much as I'm not a fan of taking Tua early because he's so injury prone, it makes all the sense in the world for them to do it because they have all these picks. So they can afford to take that chance, unlike any other team. If we were talking last year's draft, where you're picking in the first round, then you don't pick again till the third round, that's a whole different ballgame now. Now we're saying, well, wait a minute, hold on. If we take two and miss, boy, we are screwed. No, dude, you take two and miss, you have two other first rounders. Better hit on those. That's all. And if you miss on Tua, you hope the other project quarterback hits. And if he doesn't, then you hope Rosen hits. And if you miss on all three, you keep trying. But meanwhile, you're building the rest of the foundation. So you can at least get by with the Fitzpatrick or somebody else that's serviceable. Now win a championship. You're not going to dominate in the playoffs or any of that, but you can play some respectable football. Hell, you were almost You were respectable in the last 9 games, actually, with no talent. Yeah, 5-4 in the last 9. You were respectable with no talent. So it's possible to be even better with some more talent on the board. All right, 786-322-1105 is the accidentlawfirm.com text line. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Manny Navarro will be joining us, not for a while, for about 90 minutes. He'll join us. In 90 minutes, he'll join us for our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. Then Brian Howell from the Boulder Daily Camera will be joining us at 2 o'clock. Our NFL draft focus moves over to Colorado, and Steven Montez. We'll talk about that young man. It's probably a third-day pick, but we'll talk about Montez with Mr. Howell at 2 o'clock. We can continue with your questions, your comments on the YouTube chat board, of course. You can send in your comments, your questions, your insults, all kinds of good stuff. You can also reach out on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. Don't forget about Caneswear. That's the spot where fans like me shop. We love talking about Caneswear. Brett and that amazing staff. 2511 South University Drive in Davie, folks. They got it all. You name it, from autographed items to those beautiful starters jackets in multiple colors. They've got T-shirts. They've got everything, pens, pencils, all the shades, UV rays, and everything protected. You're going to love it. Great shades. I've got a couple myself. The sneakers, come on, man. They've got it there. Latest sneakers from Adidas. There's this beautiful Canes neon billboard that they have on there that they sell. They've sold like several, actually, and it's so cool for a bar. I mean, the items they have there is amazing. And Dolphins and Panthers. And, yeah, they've got Marlins, too, and Heat and Inter Miami. They've ordered like 2,000 jerseys. So when the jerseys come out, that's going to be your home to go get a kit from Inter Miami. I can't wait to get my Inter Miami kit from Caneswear. 2511 South University Drive in Davie. Follow them on Twitter, Canes_wear. And at 1 o'clock, it'll be Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
We are back. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, it's 786-322-1105. Remember, on Thursday, we'll be at Toyota of Hollywood. Friday, we've got 2 shows. Every Friday now, it's 2 shows, okay? And we're on the road in 3 places on Thursday and Fridays. We are working on a couple of the other days. So, and by the way, if your business wants to bring us to your place, you can reach out to us, okay? And that'll be you can do it on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105, and also on Twitter at Big O Show if you want to be a sponsor of our program and help us make it stronger and create a better sports talk show for you guys here in South Florida. Give you guys the best sports talk every single day. No need for radio. No need for you to wait a half hour for commercials and an entire hour. None of that stuff. Hardcore sports talk. You'll get it here every single day. So if you want to reach out and be a part of our team, we'd appreciate it immensely. And for those of you listening, please support our incredible sponsors. Tell them that you heard it here. Tell them that we sent you, because that's the only way we will survive, okay? Our sponsors are stepping up. Our listeners are stepping up. We got to have that synergy, obviously, going on together. Of course, you can reach out on the YouTube channel. If you've got questions and comments, you can do it. Let me see what we got here overall. Wow, we got a bunch that have been coming in here. Let's see. Oh, what is the max that you would give up to trade up from 5 to get Tua? I would not trade up at all. If I have to trade out of that spot to get Tua, I wouldn't do it. That I would not do. I'm not doing that. Okay? If they want to do it, that's fine. Listen, I'm not a fan of drafting him at number 5 anyway. But with the Dolphins with 14 picks, I get it. Go ahead, do it. It makes sense in your case. All right? Not a fan of it. I think he's a sack of injuries, man. I really do. I know he can play, but he's a sack of injuries. And I have very little hope for him to stay healthy. He has to prove to me he can stay healthy. All he's proven to me is that he's fragile, and he can't stay healthy. So that's where trading up, there's no way I would. Let's see. Giants hiring Patriots. Yes, that broke. Giants are going to name Patriots special teams coordinator, wide receiver Joe Judge, their head coach. That is also breaking news. So if they're going to lose also Daniels, that's, boy, I mean, he keeps losing people, man. I can't wait for the demise of the Patriots. Big O, can you talk a little bit more about the Tua injury? Miguel, I don't know what more you want me to tell you. I'm not a doctor, man. But if you want to hear about the Tua injury, Will Carroll was, about a month ago, you would say, right, about a month ago when Will Carroll injury, the interview we did with Will Carroll on Tua's injury, it was like right after the injury happened, right? Like a week after,
yes,
days after?
It was.
Yeah, go look at that interview, which, by the way, Barry Jackson in his article today with Stefania Bell both are stealing all the material we had over a month ago with Will Carroll, because he's the one that said it was a Dennis Pitta injury right away. So it was all in the paper today that it was a Dennis Pitta injury.
With him getting hurt Saturday.
Yeah, way behind our show.
We had Will on the show no later than Tuesday.
Yeah.
The following.
Right. Go listen right after the Tua injury, days after Will Carroll joined us. The podcast is there. He explains the injury and how it's very Dennis Pitta-like. Okay? Now you can wait for the Herald to have stuff that we have a month later. Let's see. What else do we have? Dreeb says, I remember talking to you when you were filling in on Mad Dog before the NFL season. You said the Cowboys were better than the Packers. I called in. Yeah, they are better. They are better talent-wise. It's not even close. That's not up for debate, my man. I stick by that. Cowboys are better. Talent-wise, hell yeah, dude, better than the Packers. Packers they got better coaching, and they got a better quarterback. That's all. Not more than that. If you had a real coach with the Cowboys and not a meddling owner that cuts the knees out, the Cowboys could be a Super Bowl contender. They got a hell of a team, man. They just don't have the leadership. Let's see what else. Big O, why not draft Tua, throw him in there? If he makes it through an entire season, bam, then you got to go get Lawrence. Dude, RZ, you don't draft a guy and just throw him in there. He's not healthy. You got to wait till he's healthy. He won't last. That kid, you got to make sure he's 100% healthy when he gets on the field. I mean, that it is totally healed and strong as an ox. And then that gives him a chance because he's already injury prone. You cannot rush that. So, RZ, there's a chance that you don't even play Tua in 2020. Let's see what else. Lakeisha says, love the wide receiver from Colorado, Big O. Ask about him. Okay. Flippin' Side Fishing says, what are your thoughts on the possibility of teams jumping ahead of the Dolphins in the draft and Miami and would get their man? Then they do it. And go ahead. I'm not trading up. Now, if they want to do that, then go ahead, trade up, man, but I'm not trading up. Ty from the Bronx says, Big O, you know who I like. I know you're a Jordan Love guy. Let's see, what else do we have here? N the 727. If McDaniel gets the head coaching job, that will be 20% of the NFL head coaching jobs from the Patriots. Yeah, that's right. There are several Patriot coaches out there. It's a good point. Let's see. Armed Ape says, getting closer to the magic partner number of 1,000, Big O. Let's get this train rolling. Been listening to O for over 20 years. Best Fins talk anywhere. Thank you, Armed Ape. Appreciate it. And yes, spread the word. And by the way, also give us a thumbs up on the broadcast when you're in so we can make it go as viral as possible and all that good stuff. And more people will find out about it. And we can get over the 1,000 mark, which is what we need to do. So if you can, help us in that area. We definitely need it in a big-time way. So what else do we have here? Giants are trying to interview Jason Garrett. Well, the Giants don't need to interview Jason Garrett anymore because they got their guy. So that is no longer an issue for the Giants. Looks like they've got their head coach, and they've got the Pats special teams / wide receivers coach. Joe Judge is now the head coach of the Giants. Interesting, huh? Ty from the Bronx says, Big O, keep preaching to the choir. Don't trade up. No, I wouldn't trade up. That's just me. I don't think you trade up for Tua. I think that now becomes really irresponsible because I think you're basically look, man, if you draft Tua, you have to think failure. Really. Think about this. You're not 50-50 on quarterback draft picks. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's probably a lot higher to like maybe 65, 75%, maybe 80%, that when you take a quarterback in the first round, he probably fails. Okay, so now let's add a guy that's injury prone on top of all of that. How do you think that's going to work out? You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's, when you draft him, you got to kind of expect that he's going to fail. There's too much against you as it is, because he's got to overcome something that he has no control over, his body. It's fragile. And not only is it fragile, it's coming into the league repaired with a hip and both ankles. You do realize that he had a chronic issue with his ankles, that he had to have a specific surgery to kind of stabilize that ankle. That's what you're drafting. You have to be careful. Are you going to also trade up for it? No. Listen, if we're trading up for Tua without the hip injury and just the ankle injuries, that's a huge gamble. If you're trading up also for Tua with that hip injury, I think that's kind of irresponsible. I think you're basically giving away draft picks. That's what it is, because there's a good chance you're going to fail. So if you're going to give away your number 5 overall, why are you going to also give away some picks on top of that because you moved up a couple of spots for the guy because you're trying to battle somebody else? And remember, the teams that are trying to skip you, they're going to give up even more. So then that puts you behind the 8 ball. And why did you set your team up with all of these picks? I just got back from the last segment telling you about the positive of all those picks, because not only will you get a quarterback, but then you can also get foundational pieces. And that's kind of, so now you're going to trade away your opportunity at foundational pieces to get an injured quarterback? No, man. No. No, I'm not doing that. No. I'd be very critical of that move. I would not be a fan of that move. I can't. I just can't. I'm not a fan of injury. I ripped Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I shredded Jimmy Johnson for drafting Yatil Green. Shredded him. Okay? He stood there with Yatil, hey, no more pulled muscles, and I was laughing my ass off. I go, that's what he is, bro. He's a great kid, because Yatil Green is a phenomenal young man. Okay? Well, he's now an old man now. But, he's a phenomenal dude. Okay? I got to know Yatil a little bit. Don't make a bet with him. But anyway, because he won't pay you. But anyway, so Yatil, I was not a fan of it. I covered him at the University of Miami. I covered him for the Dolphins because that was my beat back in those days. I was the guy that would cover the Dolphins and the Canes and the Heat. Those were my beats back in those days. And I would be at all those games and watching Yatil tweak this, pull that, injure this. I was like, I'm done with this guy. And when I saw him draft him, I was like, are you kidding me, dude? Did you watch him? Did you watch his entire career? He's a sack of injuries. I mean, listen, most of us would not make it through an NFL season. Most of us can't make it through a quarter of an NFL game. These guys are pretty strong. They're pretty big, and they hit pretty damn hard. Our bodies would crumble. There's no shame in it. It is special, the guys that can take a beating in that league and still stand up every single down, and they line up every single week. Those men are amazing that they're able to take that kind of punishment. I could never last. My body would not make it, neither will yours. And guess what? That's how some guys are. And you know what? We're the normal. It's abnormal to be able to play that game and stay healthy. It really is. You either have to have incredible fortunes or you are tough as a house, dude. That's what it is. But I laughed at Jimmy Johnson. And anybody that has been following me that long, you know it. I was on the radio, I was doing the draft, and I ripped Jimmy for that pick because I knew what it was going to be. Because it's really hard for these kind of guys that are injury prone. I'm not talking about one injury. I'm talking about these guys that get injured all the time. So all of a sudden they're going to become injury-free when they get to a league that you play more games. They're bigger, they're stronger, and they hit harder? No. No. So you cannot trade up for Tua. Not anymore. Prior to the hip injury, okay, I'll let you slide. But now, I think it would be extremely irresponsible to trade up for Tua. So no way. You do not do that. Let's see. Tua was sacked 7 times in Alabama. 4 of those times he busted either an ankle, a knee, or a hip. I would not trade up for him. Yeah, that's a great point, Nico, because he's playing behind an all-American line. I can't say all-pro because they're not pros, technically. But you know what I'm saying. He's playing against a line that is way better than most of the lines in college football, and he's still getting injured. All right? Let's see. If Tua falls to 5, do you take him? I don't mind that the Dolphins take him at 5, armed ape. I said that already. I'm all right with that. I just said take another quarterback later on. Cover your ass. Dan Lohr says, Tua at number 5 pick scares the living daylights out of me. With that hip injury and all the surgeries, I would rather take Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts late first or early second. I'm good with you with Jordan Love. You lost me on Jalen Hurts is not an NFL quarterback, man. He's not an NFL quarterback. And I'm not running that sandlot football crap with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, for me, has very little chance at becoming an effective pocket passer. And if you're going to live on your legs, you will die. Okay? And Lamar is going to last a little longer than some of these guys because his moves are, not even Jagger has those moves. Okay? That guy's such a freak. But eventually, somebody will catch up to him. So what do you think I think of Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts will not last in the NFL. It's a gimmick offense. I can't go for it. It's like the Josh Allen stuff this weekend. The whole Josh Allen thing. Yeah, he ran for that long run. They ran that gimmick where he caught the ball for a touchdown, and then that's it. It was over. And once you pulled the gimmick crap out and they needed a real quarterback to take over, he couldn't do it. And, yeah, he can run around because he's an exceptional athlete and he'll make some plays. I've been telling you this for years now. Athletes playing the position trying to be a quarterback. And they can only do so much because eventually you're going to need a quarterback. And if he can't be a quarterback, you're done. And Josh Allen, not a quarterback. And Jalen Hurts, my brother, I couldn't disagree with you more. I don't want Jalen Hurts in the 5th round. Okay? Forget 1st and 2nd. I don't want him in the 5th round. I think that's a wasted pick at that point. Now, if you have a starting quarterback and you want to draft Jalen Hurts in the 5th or 6th round because you want to run some Wildcat BS, go ahead. I'm good with that. 5th or 6th round, spend it on a kid like that, I'm all right. That's fine. I know he's not going to be some Taysom Hill, but maybe you can do something with him offensively. Boy, that Taysom Hill. Now, NFL teams are going to be searching for that dude again, that athlete/football player, because that's what that Taysom Hill is. That guy's a hell of a football player, not just an athlete. That dude, wow. Injury-prone player is close as you get to a bust player. Amen. Amen, Rick. I'm with you there. Let's see. Armed Ape says, this is true. You were not a fan of that pick-o. Oh, yeah, no, I hated the Yatil Green pick. Couldn't stand it. Great kid, but I could not stand the pick. I hated it. I understand you wouldn't do it, but I'm scared about it. What it would take with teams always having to overpay to trade up for a QB and Miami's desperation for a QB. I get it, but you gotta be disciplined here. Let's see, NorCal. Yep, I know about the Giants. We talked about it, NorCal. Thank you. Rick the Boy says, would you take Judy if he was available? Yeah, definitely. With the 2nd pick, I'm not taking him at number 5 overall. I'm getting a lineman there. I'm getting a pass rusher there. I'm getting a shutdown corner there. If I can fill one of those needs, I will do it there at 5. I'm not taking a receiver, not with the Devontae Parker and Preston Williams and the way Preston developed and the way Parker finally took that next step. I don't want to take a receiver there right now. I need to take a line, a guy on the line. I need to have a cornerstone offensive lineman, a cornerstone defensive lineman, or a shutdown corner, or a pass rushing outside linebacker since you go 3-4. I need to have one of those real impactful positions right now at the moment. That's where I would go. Let's see. George Vidal says, Hurts, Crash Jensen. Just a little faster and shorter. Big O, who are your top 3 running backs entering the draft this year? Wow, that's a great question. I got to think about that. Has everybody declared in the draft is the question? That's the thing that I don't know. Has any I don't know if all the juniors have declared. If they have, then I can give you a guess. Let's see. RZ says $120 million of cap space. What players are you looking at? And then another guy says so many needs on this team. Trenches first. I'm with you there. As for the running backs, man, that's an interesting question when it comes to the running backs. for
Do you want to break and come back and start that up?
Oh, because we're at the top of the hour. Okay. All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's break a little bit. Let's break real quick here. Let's take a quick break. Let me tell you about Choice Mortgage Bank. Listen, if you're right now looking for the right mortgage company, I know it's a challenge because there's so many people out there that are shysters and they just mislead you. You need to call somebody that's earned the AAA plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, a guy that is going to fight for you, a guy that has a staff that is just amazing. You're going to love it. And that's Michael Codsey and Choice Mortgage Bank. I'm going to give you his personal cell number, 561-441-2730, and they do it all: wholesale, conventional, residential loans, condo loans, reverse mortgages, jumbo loans, FHA, VA loans. Right now, we can get you into a state rates right now under 3.5%. What are you waiting for? Call Michael Codsey right now. Save it on that cell phone, 561-441-2730. Save it on that cell phone.
Thinking about buying a
561-441-2730.